St. Mary's Psychiatric Hospital, Upper East Side, Manhattan. 6:17 a.m. Day 1. His first name was Leo. He didn't know his last name, or had forgotten it. Doctors said it was called dissociative amnesia. He liked that word. It sounded almost like the name of an ancient king. Amnesia, king of the forgotten. Leo lived in Ward 9, secluded, with padded walls where no one could hurt themselves. He'd been here for a year, 2. Time at St. Mary's flowed strangely. Medication, routine, daydreams. He often dreamed of people without faces. But this morning's dream was different. He woke up to screaming. A real, inhuman scream. Somewhere in the hallway. Then another one. And a sound. Like someone chewing on meat. Are we hallucinating again? Leo thought and covered his eyes, but the sound didn't go away. It grew stronger. It got closer. Then the screams of the orderlies. Bodies falling. Blood on the tiles. The door to his room opened ajar. This had never happened before. He approached slowly. Carefully peered out. There was someone standing in the hallway. His body was twisted, as if a doll had been run over by a car. He chewed on the arm of a lying orderly, then raised his head sharply. Eyes. White, pupilless. Leo recoiled. Closed the door. Closed it as best he knew how. Wrapped bandages around the handles, a broken tube, a chair. He was shivering, but his head was clear for the first time in a long time. This isn't a hallucination, he whispered. This is the apocalypse. He pulled out an old notebook where he used to scribble. He wrote, I'm awake. The doctors are dead. Zombies are real. Gotta survive 24 hours. And so his game began. A game of survival. Leo sat in the corner of the room. His heart pounded like a drum in the walls of his own skull. He knew that to stay here was to die. These creatures would get inside sooner or later. But he wasn't afraid. He felt a strange determination. Over the years of treatment, he had imagined himself a hero many times. Then a knight, then a secret agent, then an astronaut. But now his fantasy was reality. He wasn't just crazy, he was a survivor. He opened the door slowly, preparing for the worst. The corridor was drenched in blood. Light bulbs flickered. There were wheezing and sobs coming from the neighboring rooms. Someone was still alive, or not quite alive anymore. Leo paced quietly, barefoot, like a cat. In his hands, a metal bar from the bed frame. He called it King. It's time, King, he whispered. Let's go save our castle. He knew he had to get to the head doctor's office. There was an emergency exit button there. He'd been told about it on his rounds. If there was a fire or a riot, the doors would automatically open. So the way out would start there. Around the bend, he encountered his first real threat. A patient diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. His name was Roger. He had once been afraid of microwaves. Now he was eating a nurse's leg. Alive. And he was swallowing it as greedily as if he hadn't eaten in a week. Leo stopped. Roger turned around. Their eyes met. I'm sorry, Leo said. SHWH. The rod hit him in the head. 1, 2. Roger collapsed. Leo was breathing hard. He was shaking. He didn't know whether he had just killed a monster or a human. But there was no choice. He found a map of the clinic on the wall. Chief of Medicine's office, 2nd floor. Stairs around the corner. The way is clear. For now. He wrote it down in his notebook. Roger's dead. The blood keeps me from forgetting it's real. Moving to the 2nd floor. The world is a maze. I am its rat. But a rat with a plan. He's moved on. Toward the light. Toward a way out. To life. Leo approached the stairs. There were bodies lying near the entrance. One orderly lay across the steps, his face eaten almost to the skull. The other, a psychotherapist named Dr. Leibovitz, was still twitching, making wet, bubbling noises. His lungs were filling with blood, and it was gushing out through his torn larynx. Leo stopped. Leibovitz's eyes were darting around, full of terror. He was alive, just a little bit. I can't help you, Leo said quietly. But I remember you bringing me oranges. I'm sorry. He walked past. Step by step, he went upstairs. Every creak of the stairs seemed like a scream. He clutched the rod in his hand. His friend, the king, was with him. On the 2nd floor, the silence was dead. Even the zombies seemed to avoid this space. Here were the doctor's offices, the documentation rooms, and, most importantly, the main office. But the door to it was locked. Leo knew he needed a key card. He remembered Leibovitz had it on a lanyard around his neck. Damn it, he exhaled. Down again. Again through fear. He went down quietly. Walked up to the doctor. His body no longer twitched. There was emptiness in the eyes. Leo carefully removed the lanyard with the card. At that moment, he heard a voice. Help. Faint. Barely audible. A woman's. He turned around. There were fingers peeking out from under the door of room 11. They were moving. Someone was there. Alive. Leo walked over. Peeked in. Inside was a girl patient. Pale, young, with huge eyes. She was trembling. You're not a zombie, she whispered. Not yet, Leo answered. I'm Leo. I'm Sophie. Please don't leave me. He opened the door. Come with me if you want to survive. They walked upstairs together. Leo inserted the card. The door to the chief physician's office clicked open. Behind it was the emergency unlock switch. He reached for it. Then he heard a rumble. Behind him, someone was coming up the stairs. Too fast. Too many. They're coming, Sophie whispered. Leo glanced at her. Then let's run while there's light. He pulled the switch. The clicks of electronic locks echoed through the building. The doors to the clinic opened. Outside now. The iron door at the main exit clanked open. Leo and Sophie, breathing heavily, ran outside. The air was warm, clammy, smelling of death and burning. The city that never sleeps now looked like it had died in its sleep. There were no cars or people on the street, just scattered bodies, burning containers, and distant screams. Skyscrapers stood like grim guardians of the apocalypse. Somewhere a dog barked. Somewhere a siren. And somewhere, a chorus of inhuman growls. Sophie clung to Leo. She didn't say much. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes were glassy but alive. We're free, Leo said. But New York is a bigger cage now. He remembered the map of the city. His mind, often clouded by pills, now worked as clear as a surgical knife. We need to get to the roof of some building. Radio signals. Maybe the army's still receiving them. Or we'll see where it's safest. Sophie nodded. They ran through the park, passing bodies, cars with open doors where the radio continued to crackle the empty airwaves. One Jeep was military. Leo checked the interior empty, but there was a knife and a first aid kit inside. He took everything. They reached the small office building at the intersection of 2nd Avenue. The fire escape was still in place. Leo climbed up first. The rooftop offered a view of half of Manhattan. Thick smoke was rising from the south. Zombies were everywhere, wandering slowly through the streets, crashing into cars, breaking down doors. But somewhere, movement. Over there, Sophie pointed. Flashing. Red and blue lights in one of the buildings 3 blocks away. Could be a police station. Or someone survived and is calling for help, Leo said. He made a note in his notebook. We're on the roof. We got a signal. The city is like a chessboard. But the pieces are dead. Only the players are left. We're going up there. Sophie looked at him. How do you talk about this so calmly? Leo smiled. Because I've been living in a nightmare the whole time. And now I just know its rules. They walked back downstairs. The sound. Around the corner of the building. A wheeze. A splash. And a scream. A woman's. Someone's still alive. Or in need of help. Sophie looked at Leo. Shall we go? He nodded. We're not surviving alone. Let's go. A shout came from the alley between the 2 buildings. Leo and Sophie didn't hesitate. The silence of the city made any sound a signal, and the scream was like a drumbeat. Leo pressed a finger to his lips and slowly peered around the corner. At the end of the narrow passage were 2 figures, one in a police uniform, the other a woman in a sports jacket. The zombie loomed over her, but the policeman drew him away. A gunshot. Then a thud. Leo lunged forward. Get back, he shouted, the rod already in his hand. The policeman was backing away, breathing hard, his face bloody, but his eyes alive. The woman, limping, ran back to Sophie. Leo kicked the zombie in the knee, then the temple. It went down, and it went quiet. Thank you, the cop wheezed. I thought that was it. We're not done, Leo replied. Not yet. The cop's name was Sergeant Brady. The woman was Carla, a runner stranded in the city during a marathon. Both miraculously survived the first wave of infection. Everything is on fire from the south, Brady said. We took shelter in the basement of a restaurant, but it's been breached. Radio signals are down. The army's not talking. Leo looked at Sophie. We saw lights not far from here. It's probably a safe zone. Will you come with us? Carla nodded immediately. Brady hesitated for a moment. I saw my partner, how his voice trembled. Leo put a hand on his shoulder. We're not alone now. Right now, we're a pack. They walked along the streets in a group of 4. Each was looking in a different direction. Each held a weapon, a knife, a rod, a gun, even a broken pipe. The city was dead, but not empty. At the corner of 34th Street, they saw a bus standing across the road. There was crying coming from inside. A baby's. Sophie stopped. A baby. Carla clenched her fists. It could be a trap. Or it could be a chance, Leo said. He walked to the door of the bus. Knocked slowly. Hey, who's inside? The answer was a sob. Leo opened the door. Inside, under the seat, sat a boy about 6 years old. He was trembling, his face covered in abrasions, a teddy bear in his hand. Mommy. Mommy left and never came back, he whispered. Leo held out his hand. I'm Leo. This is Sophie, Carla, and Brady. We're not leaving you. Do you want to come with us? The boy nodded. Cradling the toy tightly, he stepped outside. What's your name? Tommy. Now there are 5 of them. Leo wrote it down in his notebook. We're outnumbered. It's not just survival. It's already a responsibility. The city is shrinking, but we're growing. The silhouette of a building with flashing lights loomed ahead. Not much left, he said. And then a roar tore through the air. Huge. Inhuman. Something was approaching. The roar wasn't like a zombie's usual growl. It was deeper, louder, as if the city itself was screaming in pain. The sound echoed through the streets, echoing off the windows of the skyscrapers, and turned into a vibration in everyone's chest. What was that? Sophie whispered, pulling Tommy against her. Brady frowned. It's not a loner. It's something big. Really big. Leo looked in the direction of the sound. His fingers gripped the rod tighter. We won't know if we stay here. We have to move. They approached the building they'd seen from the roof, an old hotel whose facade was dotted with flickering lights and scraps of wire. At the entrance, a makeshift barrier of furniture, crates, and rebar. At the top, a camera and a flashing light. A living someone was still inside. Leo knocked twice. We're not infected. There are 5 of us. 1 child. A voice on the speaker. Are you armed? Yes, but not hostiles. Pause. Then a buzzing sound. The barricade has moved slightly, opening up a passage. Quickly, before it comes back. They ran inside. The barricade closed again. The hotel inside had been turned into a hideout. Several men with makeshift weapons, one with a military rifle, an old man with a walkie-talkie, a woman in body armor. On the walls were schematics, wires, maps. Welcome to Ford Empire, the older man said. I'm Harold, former communications officer. Now just the survivor coordinator. Carla sat down on the floor with relief. Sophie put her arm around Tommy. Brady leaned against the wall and closed his eyes. Leo looked around. Do you know what's out there? Harold nodded. We call it the Roar. A huge mutant emerging from the subway. Crazy evolution of a virus. Power like a tank. You hear it. You'd better be inside. Leo frowned. Is he haunted by sound? And heat? But most importantly, large groups. Doesn't touch alone. But if there's a lot of you. We're a lot now, Brady noted. Harold turned on the map. We still have contact with 2 points. One's on the Brooklyn Bridge. They say there's an army camp there. The other is at an abandoned subway station. There's a group of people who've learned how to control zombies. How, we don't know. But they're alive. Sophie flinched. Control zombies? Psychotropes, perhaps, Harold replied. Or something worse. Leo made a note in his notebook. Ford Empire. Sanctuary. People are still holding out. But the Roar is hunting groups. We're the target. We have to choose. To the military or to those who play with darkness. He looked up. We have to decide. But whatever we choose, we need to be faster than whatever is tearing towards us from the subway. And at that moment, the building shuddered. The walls vibrated. Dust flew from the ceiling. Somewhere below, there was a familiar, horrible roaring sound. It smelled us, Harold whispered. The walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling like sand in an hourglass where humanity's time was running out. Harold slammed the map shut abruptly, glancing at Leo. We've got 10 minutes. Maybe less than that. It senses heat. It senses fear. Leo looked at the others. Sophie was holding Tommy tightly. Brady was already at the window, gun at the ready. Carla was holding a rusty axe she'd found by the entrance. No one spoke. Words were unnecessary. How do we get out? Leo asked. Harold pointed to a hatch in the floor under the pulled-back carpet. An old maintenance tunnel. Leads to the subway station where the equipment was once stored. There's a way out. Or down. The ones who play with the dead. Those tamers? Carla asked skeptically. They're alive, which means they know something, Harold said. Or they're not really human anymore. The sound again. Closer now. Not just a roar, a vibration. The ground seemed to breathe. Somewhere far away, glass rang. Rats ran from the vents. Take your pick, Leo, Harold said. We go to the military, through the streets. Or down to the subway. The decision is yours. Leo looked at everyone. Tommy? What do you want? The boy snuggled up to the teddy bear. I don't want to be upstairs where the monster is. I want to be downstairs. It's dark down there, but, maybe it's not so scary? Sophie nodded. The subway has a better chance of hiding. Brady nodded back. And I can read subway schematics. Upstairs is death. Carla only grinned. I've always dreamed of walking through the tunnels of hell. They went down the hatch. The stairs creaked. It smelled of mold, rust, and something rotting. Harold's flashlight flickered in the darkness. Stay close. Don't take a step to the side. It's not just zombies. There are rumors. And they're not all fiction. They moved into the depths. Behind them, the hatch closed. And from above, a scream. A rumble. The sound of something huge breaking through the walls. It's in the building, Sophie whispered. We've waited too long. Leo clutched the notebook in his hand. He couldn't write. All he could do now was walk. And pray it wasn't worse downstairs than it was upstairs. The tunnel was like the black throat of New York City, endless, stinking, with damp walls and rusty pipes. Every step echoed, as if the city itself were watching them. Harold's flashlight flickered. Tommy was hiding between Sophie and Leo, his teddy bear losing its padding. Carla was following behind, quiet as a huntress. Brady was reading an old subway map left on the wall. The markings had long since been erased, but he seemed to know where to go. In 500 meters, the old technical station. There should be doors to the north tunnel. They say the Whisperers are in there somewhere, he said. Who are they? Sophie asked. Harold answered in his place. They don't look like us. They don't speak. Only whisper. Their eyes are blank, like zombies, but they think. They coordinate. Sometimes they talk to the dead. What? Carla stopped. It's delusional. Hallucinations. Maybe. But they hold the territory, keeping the zombies out. They've got something. Station. Half flooded, with broken lamps. There's graffiti amongst the trash. Stay away if you're breathing. Look at the wall. Don't look them in the eye. Leo stopped. The wall in front of him was all graffitied. Similar phrases, endlessly repeated. Whispers. 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 He knows. He hears. He's inside. And nearby, a red arrow pointing to an old door with a code lock. Brady walks up first. The code panel is old. No power. We need to crack it. Carla crouched next to it, started picking at it with a knife. Give me a minute. That's when a voice came from deep inside the station. Soft. Almost a song. Don't be afraid. We can hear you. Sophie cried out. Tommy clung to her. Leo clutched the rod. 3 figures emerged from the darkness. Cloaks, smoky faces, white contact lenses, or no pupils at all. One carried a lamp, another a cage with something moving. The third was talking. We are not enemies. We are balanced. We are not zombies. We are not humans. We are the transition. Carla stood up. Back up. I swear, if you take one step. Hush, Leo whispered. They can help. Help? Did you hear them? The figure came closer. You want to live. And we have something that helps them not to attack. Chemistry. Vibration. Brain frequency. And what do you need? Harold asked. You. One of you. For a trade. Silence. Give us one, and we'll take you north. To the bridge. Without attack. No pain. Tommy began to cry. Sophie screamed. You're not taking any of us. Leo stood between her and the creatures. He looked into their eyes. And saw no soul. We'll break through on our own. He struck the door panel, ripping off the casing. Sparks. Carla shorted something out. Door clicked. It's open. Come on. They rushed forward into the next tunnel. There was a chorus of hisses behind them. The figures did not follow, but the voice remained in their heads. You'll come back, Leo, when there's no one left. They ran through a tunnel lit only by a crackling lantern. Behind, the Whisperers. Ahead, the unknown. The stations looked more and more like the set of a horror movie. Mutilated bodies, writings on the walls, lonely children's toys lying on the tracks. But with each step, the air became cleaner. Warmer. Somewhere, movement. And the smell. Of diesel. We're close to the surface, Harold whispered. Transfer station. Exit to the Brooklyn Bridge. The army could be there. Sophie carried Tommy, though he was already walking on his own. He was exhausted, but he was holding on. Leo walked beside her, clenching his jaw. He hadn't slept in almost 24 hours. But his brain was working more clearly than ever. They reached the stairs. There's a sign above it. Exit to Street/Brooklyn Bridge access. We're out, Brady exhaled. The sun greeted them at the top. The real one. Sick, orange, smoky, but alive. In front of them, a bridge. Destroyed, but not completely. On the other side, beacons, a roadblock, a U.S. flag. The army is there, Carla whispered. We're almost home. They were going fast. Cars were abandoned, some on fire. Leo heard a roar, but not the same one. It was the usual zombies scurrying around down there. They won't get us. If we make it. 300 meters to the roadblock. Hey, Brady yelled. We're alive. We got a baby. Headlights flashed on the other side. A uniformed silhouette raised his weapon but didn't fire. Come on, now. They heard in the megaphone. And at that moment, a sound. A deep one. The ground shook. From beneath the bridge, from beneath the stone arches, it came out. Roar. Huge, with a body covered in meat, as if cooked. A body of bones, veins, and spikes. Eyes 6 white dots. Mouth opened into an impossible scream. It grabbed the wrecked car and threw it into the river. And it looked right at them. Run, Leo shouted. They sprinted out of the way. Harold stumbled and stood up. Carla picked up Tommy. Sophie ran, screaming with fear. He sprinted to close the distance. His footsteps were like earthquakes. Pieces of concrete flew from the bridge. The dead began to rise and follow him. 100 meters to go. Leo turned around. Harold had fallen again. He realized. This was the end. Run, the old man said. I'm going to stay. It wants noise. I'll give it to it. He took an old grenade out of his backpack. See you on the other side, son. Leo ran. Explosion. The bridge shook. A scream. And silence. They ran to the roadblock. The soldiers opened the doors. Tommy screamed. He stayed behind. Leo, out of breath, said. He saved us. He knew there was no other way. They're safe. Bye. The army doctor is checking on Sophie and Tommy. Carla looks toward the city. Brady talks to the soldiers. Leo stands at the fence and looks at the smoking bridge. He notes. Harold is dead. But the bridge remains. We're alive. There's one last step left. We need to figure out what it takes to survive. Brooklyn. Army camp on the east side of the bridge. The city behind was burning. Flares still flashed in the sky. The army was trying to find survivors. But Leo knew. Most would not survive. He sat at the table in the tent, holding his scrawled notebook in front of him. On the last page was written, Survived. Not alone. Not for nothing. There was silence all around. Tense, almost artificial. The soldiers didn't talk for nothing. The medics were giving injections. Pilots were checking helicopters. Sophie and Tommy were asleep. There were no bites. All clear. Brady went to headquarters, Carla dozing with a knife in her hands. Leo approached the communications officer. Will you send us out of here? The ones on the bridge are going north. To the Catskills. It's a safe zone there. Medical units, psychologists, food. Everything works. We're holding the fort. Psychologists? Leo grinned. It's not the first time I've done that. The officer glanced at him. And you're from St. Mary's, right? Leo nodded. Ward number 9. Then you're proof that even a broken man can be the strongest. Thank you for bringing the boy. And the girl. Not everyone can do that. Leo didn't say anything. Just went back to the tent. The helicopter buzzed. People were getting in. Leo, Sophie, Tommy, Carla, and Brady were among them. On Tommy's face was a smile. He was holding Leo's teddy bear and notebook. Did you really write all that? I did. Can I keep a journal, too? Like you? Leo nodded. Just don't forget one thing. Start every page with, I'm still alive. It's important. Tommy nodded, looking out the porthole as the city dwindled below. Behind, ashes. Ahead, a chance. Perhaps not for an old life, but a new one. Without walls. No drugs. No illusions. And for the first time in a long time, Leo felt more than just silence. He felt light.